The morning sun had barely risen over the city when Daniel Carter stepped out of his small apartment building. He adjusted the strap of his worn backpack and held his daughter Lily's tiny hand as they walked toward the bus stop. Daniel looked like an ordinary man. Simple clothes, quiet personality, a tired but kind smile. Most people who saw him assumed he was just another struggling single father trying to survive in the city. And in many ways he was. "Daddy, will you come to my school play tomorrow?" Lily asked, looking up at him with hopeful eyes. Daniel smiled softly. "Of course I will, Princess. I wouldn't miss it for anything." Lily giggled and hugged his arm. For Daniel, she was his entire world. Ever since his wife passed away 4 years ago, everything he did was for Lily. Every early morning, every late night, every sacrifice. The bus arrived with a loud hiss, and they stepped inside. Daniel dropped Lily off at school before heading to work. His job was at Riverside Global Corporation, one of the biggest companies in the city. But Daniel wasn't an executive. He wasn't a manager. He worked in the building maintenance department. To most employees, he was just the quiet janitor. Someone who cleaned floors. Someone people barely noticed. But Daniel didn't mind. He believed in working hard and staying humble. What nobody knew was that Daniel Carter had a past far more extraordinary than anyone could imagine. A CEO who trusted no one. Across the city, on the top floor of a glass skyscraper, CEO Sophia Reynolds stared out the window of her office. Sophia was only 32 years old, but she had already built a business empire worth billions. Magazines called her the Ice Queen of corporate America. She was brilliant, fearless, and completely ruthless in business. But there was one thing Sophia no longer believed in: love. Every relationship she had ever tried ended the same way. Men were interested in her money, her power, her fame, never in her, which is why Sophia had built walls around her heart. And she trusted almost no one. The unexpected meeting. That afternoon, Daniel was cleaning a hallway on the executive floor. Usually, maintenance staff weren't allowed there. But a pipe had burst earlier, and the cleaning crew had been called in. Daniel quietly mopped the marble floor while employees rushed past him. Suddenly, crash, someone bumped into the wet floor and slipped. Daniel reacted instantly. He dropped the mop and caught the woman before she hit the ground. For a moment, time froze. Daniel was holding a woman in his arms. A very important woman. Sophia Reynolds, the CEO. Her assistant gasped. "Miss Reynolds, are you okay?" Sophia looked stunned, but Daniel gently helped her stand. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he said calmly. The floor was still wet. Sophia looked at him carefully. Most employees panicked when they met her. But this man, he seemed completely calm, almost indifferent. "Thank you," Sophia said slowly. Daniel nodded politely and picked up his mop. "No problem." Then he simply went back to work. Sophia stood there for a moment, confused. No one had ever reacted to her like that before. Most people either feared her or tried to impress her. But this man treated her like a normal person. And for some reason, she couldn't stop thinking about it. The coffee shop surprise. A few days later, Sophia walked into a small coffee shop near the office. She rarely visited places like this, but today she needed a break from meetings. As she ordered her coffee, she noticed a familiar voice behind her. "2 hot chocolates, please." Sophia turned. It was him, the quiet maintenance worker. But this time he wasn't alone. A little girl stood beside him, holding his hand. "Daddy, can I have marshmallows too?" she asked. Daniel laughed. "Of course you can." Sophia watched them silently. The way Daniel spoke to his daughter, the warmth in his voice, the gentle smile. It was completely different from the cold, stressful world she lived in. When Daniel turned and noticed her, he seemed surprised. "Oh, hello again," he said politely. Sophia raised an eyebrow. "You work at Riverside, right?" "Yes, ma'am." Daniel hesitated. "This is my daughter, Lily." Lily waved happily. Sophia couldn't help but smile. For the first time in a long time, she felt something warm in her chest, something she hadn't felt in years. But neither of them knew. This small meeting was only the beginning of a story that would change both of their lives forever. Because Daniel Carter wasn't just a humble single father. He was hiding a secret powerful enough to shake the entire city. And when Sophia finally discovered the truth, nothing would ever be the same again. Sophia Reynolds wasn't used to being distracted. Her entire life had been built on discipline, focus, and control. Every minute of her day was scheduled. Every decision was calculated. But for the past 2 days, her mind kept drifting back to the same person. Daniel Carter, the quiet maintenance worker, and the little girl who called him Daddy. Sophia sat at the long glass conference table while her executives presented quarterly financial reports. "And if we increase production by 12% next quarter, our projected revenue." "Stop!" The entire room fell silent. The senior manager froze mid-sentence. Sophia leaned back in her chair, tapping her pen lightly on the table. Her assistant, Claire, watched her carefully. She knew that look. It meant Sophia's mind was somewhere else. "Claire," Sophia said suddenly. "Yes, Miss Reynolds?" Sophia paused for a moment. "Do we have a maintenance employee named Daniel Carter?" The executives exchanged confused glances. Claire quickly opened her tablet. "Yes," she said after a moment. "Daniel Carter, Maintenance Department. Joined 3 years ago." Sophia raised an eyebrow. 3 years? "Yes." "Background?" Claire hesitated. "Very limited information. Previous employment history is unusual." Sophia's curiosity grew stronger. "Unusual how?" Claire frowned slightly. "According to the file, he worked in several high-level industries before taking a maintenance position here." "High level?" Sophia repeated. "Yes, aviation, engineering, and something related to international consulting." The room became even quieter. One of the executives chuckled. "That has to be a mistake. Why would someone with that kind of experience become a janitor?" Sophia didn't laugh. Instead, she stared at the window thoughtfully, because she had noticed something about Daniel Carter. The way he carried himself, the calm confidence, the sharpness in his eyes. He didn't behave like someone who cleaned floors for a living. He behaved like someone who had seen far more of the world. "Claire," Sophia said quietly. "Yes. Keep this conversation between us." "Of course." Sophia stood up. Meeting dismissed. The executives looked stunned. The meeting had barely started, but Sophia had already made up her mind. She needed to learn more about Daniel Carter. A simple evening. That evening, Daniel walked home with Lily after picking her up from school. They stopped at the same small neighborhood grocery store they visited every week. Lily skipped beside him happily. "Daddy, my teacher said parents can come to school tomorrow." "For the play?" "Yes." Daniel smiled. "I told you I'll be there." Lily suddenly looked serious. "Even if you're busy?" Daniel knelt down in front of her. "Lily," he said gently, "nothing is more important than you." She hugged him tightly. Nearby shoppers watched the sweet moment quietly. Daniel stood up and noticed someone standing at the end of the aisle. Someone familiar. Sophia Reynolds. She looked slightly out of place in the small grocery store. Her expensive coat and elegant appearance made her stand out immediately. Daniel looked surprised. Miss Reynolds. Sophia seemed slightly embarrassed. Hello, Daniel. For the first time in years, the powerful CEO felt strangely nervous. She had faced billion-dollar negotiations without blinking. But talking to this quiet single father felt different. Lily looked between them curiously. Daddy, who is she? Daniel smiled. This is Miss Reynolds. She works at my company. Sophia crouched slightly to Lily's level. Lily. Lily tilted her head. You're very pretty. Sophia blinked in surprise. Then she laughed softly. Thank you. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly. I didn't expect to see you here. Sophia shrugged. I was nearby. It wasn't entirely true. She had actually asked Claire where Daniel lived. But she wasn't ready to admit that. For a moment, none of them spoke. Then Lily tugged on Daniel's sleeve. Daddy, can she come to my play tomorrow? Daniel almost choked. Lily. But Sophia looked intrigued. A play? Lily nodded excitedly. I'm a butterfly. Sophia smiled warmly. Well, butterflies are very important. Lily grinned proudly. Daniel sighed softly. Children had a way of making life unpredictable. Miss Reynolds is probably very busy, he said. Sophia paused for a moment. Her schedule tomorrow was completely packed. 3 board meetings, 2 investor calls, a press interview. But something inside her suddenly made a decision. I'll come. Daniel looked shocked. Really? Sophia nodded. Yes, I'd like that. Lily jumped happily. Yay! Daniel couldn't help smiling. For some reason, seeing Sophia laugh with Lily felt surprisingly natural. But as Sophia watched Daniel and his daughter walk toward the checkout counter, a question formed in her mind. Who exactly was Daniel Carter? Because something about him didn't add up. His calm presence, his intelligence, his mysterious past, and the way he never seemed impressed by her wealth or power. For the first time in years, someone had caught the attention of Sophia Reynolds, and she had a feeling the truth about Daniel Carter was far more extraordinary than anyone imagined.